Okay, Lake Bled. We've done our colour matching. Here, our photo. Right, let's start now. Let's do a quick bit of planning. I'm going to vote we leave the sky to the end. In the photo there's nothing going on in here. It's a very light blue. But I think we should probably put a little bit of interest, but I suggest we wait until the end for that. Let's start with our steeple and our roof, and maybe our other roofs, and then our background hills, and maybe some washes over the sides of the buildings. That's all our light pieces, and the steps. And then I'm going to suggest we do these trees, we do a wash in our light colours, and we'll kind of blend them together. And then when it's dry, we'll come in and put in the darks to define the edges of the trees and around here. And after that, there's some dark accents, our shadows, and water, and we're done. That's it. Easy. Okay, right, let's start with this steeple colour. Now, the one we did on our practice swatch was a bluish grey, bluey greeny grey. And where's my brush? Here it is. Right. Now you might. I'm gonna start with a sable. I might switch to and I've lost it, of course. My pointy synthetic Escoda Perla brush, which has gone AWOL, so maybe I won't be using that. Hang on, pause. Okay, we're back. He was hiding. My pointy synthetic. We've got lots of little bits of detail in there, so I might switch to that. But let's start mixing with my sable. Now this one we started with a grey, so. Start with mixing up my standard grey, is ultramarine and burnt sienna. I'm going to leave it slightly blue, which means slightly more ultramarine than burnt sienna. And I'm going to add in a little lemon yellow just to push it to the turquoise. And let's see what that looks like. Yep, that looks good. Let's start with this. Now these little twiddly bits around the outside, I want to be careful doing these. You don't want to overstate all of these pieces. So I'm actually going to put in, this is a fairly even wash of the main pieces. Yes, I think I probably do need my pointy synthetic here. It's a bit awkward. But when I get to the twiddly bits, I'm leaving bits of paper, white paper showing through, which gives us an idea of what's going on in there, but not being overly. I'm trying to talk and think at the same time and failing miserably. Precise as to what exactly. So these are kind of little dots, these bits that poke out. And this comes down. And this comes round here, and it does feel very calligraphic. I think I just about got away with that brush. And I'm not putting all the pointy up bits in right now. Just a little bit up here. just to show that there's something going on. I think I probably could have gone slightly more colour in that, but it's on now, so that's done. And that's it, that's done. And there's lots of nice little sparkles in there, which show you that there's something going on, but not stating it precisely. Now, when this is dry, we'll come back in and put in some darker accents, but for now we can leave that. Now, I think we should probably put in this purpley blue background. I'm kind of worried about this bit. Don't want to take it too purple. Well, it could look nice. Well, let's be rash and just go with it. Now, how do we do this one? This was our ultramarine. Now we pushed it slightly to the purple with a little lick, tiny lick of permanent rose. And then to take the colour out, because it's quite a dusky purple, we're adding in a little lick of black. Now, what's that looking like? I think that's, I'm going to put in a little more black. Now the black will take the punch out of the colour, might make it slightly too dark. So if it does, add in a little water to take the value back up again. Right, now I'm kind of worried about this. Let's start the line of this roof. I'm being kind of careful around here because this is going to define the side of that church too, and I'm being careful around the roofs. We could go crazy and lose edges here, but I don't think we need to right yet. Right, and then I'm scooting in the rest of these hills. Now this tree, I think I'm going to paint through that tree. It's kind of dark. But as I come down, I'm going to leave these edges fairly uneven. I didn't like put blossoms in this, but my paint just wasn't quite wet enough. Okay, so that's our background hills. Is that a bit of a bit of tree up there, isn't it? And we've left it nice and scrubby over here. Picking up some actually there's a little bit over this side, isn't there? Let's put in this piece too. Of course I've got no paint left. A little bit of roof. That's a dark tree, so I'll go through that. And then again leave it raggedy down the bottom. For when those foreground or at least midground trees go in. Right, okay. Right, okay. Well, so far so good, I think. Let's do this roof here. Let's pick that up. There's a little spot. Now, there's a light slice down the side of this roof, and the light's hitting it, but it's a really weird colour. I'm presuming it's meant to be lighter. So I'm going to leave that and then glaze over it afterwards. I'm not going to paint it how it looks. I think that's just an artifact. So let's go back to our swatches. This was this kind of brick red colour. Now, how did we do this one? I should have written it down, shouldn't I? Well, I can't remember. Did we start with burnt sienna? Let's try some burnt sienna. And add in some pinkish red. Yeah, that looks like it's going to be too bright. And then maybe some burnt umber to take it back down again. Okay, yeah. And that value looks about right. I'm just adding in just a brush tip of water just to make the paint flow. I'm going to leave that white for now. Right, I'm hoping this is going to flow nicely, and this is the tree here, so I'm going to leave a broken edge. And very carefully down the side. We don't do a lot of losing edges in these demos. It's something I used to do a lot. I think it's easier to start by keeping all the edges, and then once you can do it keeping the edges, start to lose them. Right. And it's kind of uneven in there, but I kind of like that. It gives it a bit of choppiness. Okay. Should probably let's put some colour on this, on the sides of this tower. Right. Okay. Now, what is this colour? I think it's going to be a very light yellowy orange. Let's have a look. Yes. So, a bit of my orangey red and a bit of my yellow. I'm going to lighten that up. Let's see what that looks like on a piece of paper now. Oh no, that's absolutely not it. More yellow. More yellow, more water. Okay, yeah, that's slightly brighter. I'm just going to lighten. We could take the chroma out, but I'm just going to keep that. Actually, this is kind of dangerous. I'm just putting in a little bit of black, purely to take out some of the brightness of. No, I'm going to start again with that. That hasn't worked. Can I rescue that? Maybe a bit more water. Okay. Okay. So a little bit of black did take some of the punch out of that colour. It was light, but it was too orange. So I know there's some moulding up here. And a fairly even wash, and just paint through those dark windows. We can come back in and paint those later. And these are dark trees in front of that, so let's bring that down. I'm going to go into here, and this is light, so you can afford to go over pieces. That's outside the house is dark. That's a bit of tree in there. brush just to soften up these areas a bit. Now I should put that side of the roof in at some point. I'm going to use the same colour for these houses here. I know if you look at it, they're actually a slightly different colour. But I'm going to go with this very pale orange we have. And again, I'm painting through the dark pieces. Oops, hang on. There we are. Because a lot of this will be defined by the darks we put in afterwards. Alright, I'm not going to go through that. Roof. Okay. This is kind of white down here. That's okay. Right. Okay. Right, let's do these roofs now. This is feeling a little bit like paint by numbers, which I didn't really intend it to be. I think we're going to be making a lot more decisions when we come and put the dark layers in, because we want to tie all our darks together and make it a good design. Right, now this colour. Now this was one which definitely was that orangey red, and I think we just do a little bit of black to take the chroma out. I could be doing it a completely different way than I was doing before. Right, well, that looks about right, so let's go with that. Now there's a little bit of colour here, because that's wiggly. Oh, there's another little chimney I missed. Never mind, it's gone now. Actually, I'm going to go through that. That chimney's gone for a burden anyway. And this comes down. Trying to get this horizontal, this is really awkward. A little bit of colour, just to show there's the edge of that roof there. And I know this is a slightly different colour down here, but I'm going to use the base colour for this little chap. Oh, this is, come on, woman, get with the program. Okay. Try and make that straight. Yeah. Oh, another little. This isn't actually this colour, but I think a repetition of that colour will be good. I'm going to go over that and darken it a little. Probably will need to be darker. But okay. I'm going to use the same colour just to wash in that side of the roof. I think that probably needs to be darker too, but there we go. Okay. Okay. Now our lights. I'm not going to do the trees just yet. I think we should do this. I think the walls here have too much colour on them, but this, the steps, they're a grey colour. So let's mix up a fairly light grey, which is ultramarine and burnt sienna. here. And how light is that? It's probably slightly lighter. I'm doing this by eye now. And I'm going to go up the sides of these houses as well. So it's one big wash here. Now eventually this will be darker. You can see it's really quite dark back there. There's a bit of tree poking out which I will paint around. No, this has got to be nice and even, so I'm going fairly fast. Worried I've made it too dark. Oh, no, that's white there. Yeah, I've gone through my canopy. Who knows whether that's going to work? I don't know. Right. Now, we're going to have to go in with our tree colours, I think. Alright, well let's start with our bright orange, which was here, wasn't it? Which was our orangey red and quite a lot of yellow, as I remember, and nothing else. A bit more yellow. Oops. Right. Now, I'm going to put this, and I'm going to be fairly broad with this, because where there are darks, we can come back in and paint over. Alright, now that's slightly yellower up here, so I'm going to put in some yellow. I'm trying to get broken edges here. That's yellow here, comes down, and any other little bits of orange we should just tuck in here and there. Just where I see them. If you see any hard edges you don't want, I think that's dried already. Okay, we've lost you. Alright, now let's go in with our olive green that we made, which was this one. Which was, I think, so it was lemon yellow, there was black, and just a little bit of orange red just to make it, pull it round slightly to the orange. Now this goes mainly over here, so going to again put in pretty rough edges. There's a bit, this is a bit of some grassy pieces here. And slightly things are slightly better, things going around the walls. There's a bit of grass down here. And a bush. And this is a redder bit up here, but I'm going to put this base layer of this olive green because I like it. Okay, there's some olive green in here. Okay. Right, try it again. I'm hoping we won't have any more interruptions. Everything seems to have gone wrong today. Let's finish off these trees, at least the underlayer for our trees. So we have this sort of brownish colour, which was this one. And there's a bit of this olive green, so it's brown and olive green. So let's mix up those and then put those on. Now the brown, I'm going to put the brown up in this well. Now I think we had some burnt sienna, some burnt umber. I think maybe a little bit of black. It's slightly too bright, that, for me. It's a bit more burnt sienna just to take that up. Right, okay. I'm good with that. So let's just leave that in there. That should be enough. Let's make up our olive green again, which was our lemon yellow. And a little bit of black, which will take it down to olive. And remember, it was just slightly too yellow, just so a little lick of your orange red. Let's pull it slightly more. Yeah, okay, right. Okay. Now, I'm going to put in olive green here. And I'm pushing the brush around, so I'm getting these ragged edges. Now if we lose some of these, we can put them back in again when we do the darks. I'm going to put some olive down here. And this is very dark down here. Now, so I'm just going to wash over that. We will come back in for these and make them very dark. Let's do a bit of brown. It's mostly here. I'm kind of pushing the brush up to get these ragged edges. It's coming down into these ones here. It's got a bit more orange in that. And some little tufty ones up here. I'm paying most attention to the edges. There's a dark one there which I'm going to forget about for now. Let's bring just a wash down here. Bit more water. I could have used a lot more water actually in this, but there we go. And there's a little bit of brown over here. Just a little bit of interest colour. I'm not really isolating trees here, I'm just putting in bits of colour. Like here. And there's these here which are going to be very dry brushy. I'm just putting in the branch bits, not the trunk bits. Very much like we did last week. Just little bits of dry brush to show the massive branches. Okay, right, okay, stop fiddling. Just getting rid of a few hard edges that I can see. Right, okay. Now, it's not looking like very much, but that's fine because pretty much everything we've put in here is either a light or a mid value. We haven't put in any darks yet, and that's going to be our next stage. So let's try that. Now this is where you have to have faith, and I'm having to have faith as well because I don't know whether it's going to work or not either. So let's have a go at some darks. Right, let's start at the top and work down, and I'm going to pretty much move for a lot of this stuff to my pointy synthetic. Probably not for the trees, but certainly for the buildings and the windows and stuff. So let's start with a nice dark grey to define the windows and the sides of the steeple. Right, now I'm going to do ultramarine and burnt sienna, and that'll give us a fairly dark colour. And there's not too much water in that, so it's going to be quite thick. I might pick this palette up so I can get my hand in. Alright, now you can see these shadows down the side, and I just need to put in, I've got some glare, shadows. I'm using the point of the brush. I'm just putting in dark pieces where I can see them. So there's a little dark piece here. And I'm just leaning back so I can see the photo here. And there's quite a dark piece here. And then at the top, just give it a bit of form. And these straight dark pieces which join the different bits together have to be put in really quite briskly so you get a lovely clean line. And right here. It's a little line there. Just now I'm tempted, there is a line that comes down here, put that in. Don't overdo this, it's really not good if you overdo it. It's a quick little marks there. Now I know there's some vertical pieces there, but I don't think I want to put those in. Right, that's probably enough for that. Ooh, I'm not sure that worked very well, but anyway. Well, I've got this dark here. Let's put in these windows. They're not windows. Are they windows? I suppose they're windows. And these pieces. Well, maybe. Now there's other lines in here and these are slightly lighter, so I'm just gonna add in a bit of water just so we can put in these slightly lighter lines. I'm not sure if this is working very well. Slightly lighter on the right hand side. Alright, I'm going to step back. Not sure this is going to be my greatest triumph. Alright, this side roof over here, this is kind of, it's dark, it's a dark red, so I'm going to start again with my grey. I'm going to add in more burnt sienna so it's kind of a brownish dark. And put this in. And now as we come down into the trees, you want to keep these little dots to show that the trees are in front of that roof. Like so. Right, now that's a bit better, isn't it? Now, the side of that house, it's in shadow, but it's kind of a grey actually, a bluey grey. So I'm just going to put a wash over that. Oops, a bit of lost bristle. Comes down to a bit of interest in there, and again just little dots to show that there's bits of tree. And how comes down, there's some sort of stuff going on in there. There we go. That's not so bad. Yeah, it's dried a little nastily in there, but I'm going to leave that. Right, now when I've got this kind of watery grey going on, there's a little bit of shadow underneath this roof here. It's just a line, and again a few dots to show that it's going through the trees. And this side of the roof is in shadow. I'm not varying my colour very much for this. The light colours are important to get, but we can't actually see a huge amount of variation when we do darks. So you can get away with a much smaller range of colour. Right, yeah. This has got windows in there. I don't know if I want to put those in. It's just finish this bit of roof over here, and just little shadows where you can see them, and small marks for windows. Again, this has got a shadow underneath that piece of roof. And I think I will put in these windows. There's another shadow over the side of that house, but I'm going to leave that for now. And these are just squarish marks with my brush. Just to indicate that there are windows there. I don't know. Let's have another go at this shadow under here. So this also goes into tree, so little dots to show that it's going through. And shows the side of the tree. Now, this shadow starts here and come across these steps. Trying to get it as even as I can here. It comes down, it comes out again, bit of tree shadow, it's down, now these are actually on steps, so the shadows are slightly jagged, but I'm not risking that right now. Might try a few here. They're closer to us, so how's that looking? Not too bad. Not too bad. might see some shadows. There's the side of this roof. Put you in. And there's this arched window here. Okay. And underneath you, I'm just going to put in a dotted line for him. Okay. Now, this needs to be darker up here. Might be a bit too early to start putting in these darks, but okay. Now that is starting to pull together. This roof actually comes out more. There's kind of awnings and stuff. General busyness. Okay. I was thinking about putting in a window over there, but maybe not. And there's some shadow back here. I think I should probably put in this shadow on this roof here. It's bigger than it is in real life. Okay. Now I'm making these shadows very grey. Should maybe add in a little bit more blue into these. Alright. Now, right, I'm going to let that dry and then take stock. So I'm not quite sure what this is going to need. Okay, I'm just going to pop him on pause. Okay, so I've had a bit of a break and a bit of a look, and I think it's just about hanging together. The darks are going in well. It's starting to read okay, but we need to start putting in these darks around the trees. Now, there's this big dark here, there's a big dark in there, and also around here. Got some little pieces of dark to define these trees here. And then there's these slightly darker trees. This will help to define this roof there. So let's start with this dark in here, because that's kind of important to bring out this huge flight of steps. Right. Now, if you look at that colour there, it's a very dark green. So let's mix up a dark green. I'm just gonna have a look. Yeah, it's dark green. Now I'm going to start with my yellow. Let's put them up there so you can see. And I'm going to put in a little bit of black to make it dark. Now that's kind of a dark olive green. I think we want to push it slightly blue. So I'm going to put in a little bit of cobalt just to blue it up slightly. I'm not sure that's going to be dark enough. Yeah, let's try that. I'm hoping this isn't going to be so dark it overpowers the whole thing. So let's have a try. Now, let's start. It's got to be a nice crisp line down here. I'm using my pointy synthetic. Being rather careful here. It comes down. Now, we need to paint into this orange piece. So we define the foliage. This little piece that was coming up here. Now, I think I might switch brushes. Now, this is my sable one. I can get more of a scrubby edge to it. Just little pieces of dark to suggest that there's this lighter foliage in front of us. And there's some dark pieces in here too. Now, how's that looking? I think that's okay. It's one of these things, you've got to judge whether it's dark enough as you put it on. Now, come down here. Goes along the tops of these boat canopies. Yeah, now there's some sparkles in here which might be too sparkly, but we can always come back and glaze over those. I'm going to put this dark bit in over here now. The most important bit is the tops of these orange trees, which need to be very irregular. I might just get my brush and smoosh. It's the irregularity I want to get in here. And there's actually a shadow on that wall. Yeah, it's still slightly sparkly, but I think we can rectify that later. A little bit of water. That comes and it's very dark down here. Side of my brush to get those little edge of foliage pieces. Okay, I think this should be, I'm going to make this bigger, just thinking that's quite the right shape in there. Okay, right. Still not looking quite right because there's too much white in there, but that's okay for now. I'm going to come up over this side and just where the darks are, it's irregular foliage marks. This is tricky. This, if you've got your values right, you should be okay. Right, now up here, this is also kind of dark, but it's browner. So I'm going to add in some burnt yellow, so I'll keep it quite dark. And so I'm just going to have a put around the edge of this tree here. And it's actually green there, but right. How's that looking? That's okay. Could probably have lost a few edges in there, but right, now I'm going to use the rest. This is still slightly brown. I want to put some darks this side of the trees, which will help to bring out the side of those chimneys. It's not brown enough. Again, just the tips of my bristles. Help to just show that value variation to suggest trees. Right, that's slightly redder. So as the colours change, I'm just adding in small bits of different colours to suggest value change. Okay. A little bit of smoothing of edges. It's getting a little too choppy in here. How's that looking? Alright, and some dark needs to go in over here. Oops. So now, there's this kind of, actually kind of shadow coming down there. And if I've got too much paint on my brush, I just dab it on a paper towel, just to take some of the moisture off. darker bits are always on the right hand side because the light is coming from the left. And what else do we have down here? This is actually orange in the photo. I'm putting it in as dark green. A couple more shadows. A couple of shadows up here. There's a dark bit down there which defines the side of that wall. Like so. Right. And this tree. This is dark green again. So lemon yellow, black, and I'm going to put in a bit of cobalt, or if you have a little touch of phthalo. I want to put this tree in, and the darks are going to bring out that roof in front of it. And I'm not going to ruin this. There we go. And actually I might just bring that down this side just a little bit. And there's this one over here. Now this one I like because it kind of pokes up, just puts a little bit of interest above the skyline. There we go. And some little dark dots in there to show it's going behind those trees. Right. Now, just looking at this needs to go darker down here. So I'm going to go slightly darker. Now at this point, I'm not even doing foliage, I'm putting in dark marks. Okay, I might have to stop that. I might ruin everything, and I don't want to ruin everything. Right, okay. Now, just time to stop, stand back, and take stock again. Phew. Now, I think a lot of these darks are working, which is good. But these are still looking a little without shape. Now, we may go a little darker for these, but certainly we want a value in between this dark here and this one here. This is quite tricky. And it's kind of a, let's get this out again, kind of a brown, kind of a sludgy brown. So I'm just going to use a bit of burnt sienna, a little bit of black, and maybe a touch of yellow ochre. Right, let's see how this does. I just want to put in a little bit more shape the size of these trees. That might be too dark. This is tough. I'm going to cover up some of these sparkles too. Hey. And I'm just softening those edges. Just want a small value change. Not too much. And in here. Now some of this we'll put in trunks to help us, but I don't think it's going to help us all the way. Oh, wrong bit. Right, and little dots of colour, and then I'm just softening it to make that value change a little less abrupt. And take out some of these sparkles. We don't need all these white bits in there. They're just distracting after a while. And some dry brush for these. These little tufts of branches. And a bit of white paper there, not quite sure what, no, it's a bit of wall, isn't it? Just put some colour on that to take the glare of the white paper off. Okay. Right. How's that looking? It's okay. It's okay. Oh, there's a little tufty bush over here. I think it's a tree actually, isn't it? It should have been a little more yellow than that, but he's in now. Okay. Now, we're going to have to do this water at some point. Let's put in some trunks. Now this will be some kind of browny grey, and I'm using my pointy synthetic and just dabbing it on a paper towel so I don't have too much water on there. I've got too much water. Just the odd bit of branch poking out. There's some in here. And where there's little gaps in the foliage, just put a little branch in there and it will look as though it's poking out through the leaves. that should have been a little more. It's actually quite a big trunk there. I need to do something down here. Oh, there is a trunk down here, isn't there? I'm just putting little bits of it in as it pokes through the foliage. And you can kind of make things up. And if you want to fill in the white sparkles, do so. You need very few of them. That probably needs filling in. Now, there's some lighter trunks over there. I'm gonna just put in a few darker ones. This isn't the main point of the painting, so I'm not going to bother too much. And there's this one over here. There's other stuff back here, isn't there? It doesn't take much to suggest. I think I might quit one on the head with that. It's not brilliant, but now we've got little people in there. I don't know about little people. Put too much emphasis back here. Right, now what have we got? A bit of dark just to show this tree's got some form. There's actually a dark mark in there. I think that is actually, I don't know what that is, I think that's a little bush. Okay, I should probably put a bit of sky in. I still don't like these sparkles over here, but let's do a bit of sky whilst we're here. Actually, I'll pause it and get some fresh water. Right, now, sky. What I want to do with the sky, I want to put some blue in it, but I don't want a huge blue wash. What I want to do, I'm going to a slightly bigger brush. I just want to bring out this side of the building, so I'm going to have kind of a stripe of blue sky going through that bit of the building, maybe a little bit of blue up there, but mostly there's going to be a lot of white in there too, so I'm going to use cerulean. I'm hoping that's not going to be too bright. Now I'm going to start here, because this blue, I want to define that side of the building. I'm just going to pull it out, maybe go through there. And then with a clean brush, I'm going to soften those edges so it looks like clouds in a blue sky. And soften the top edges. I'm hoping, oops, I might have terrible blossoms there. I'm hoping your colour won't lift. Now, just a little bit of blue up here. Didn't quite go how I wanted it, but it's down now, so. A little bit just to make sure these edges are okay. And maybe I'm desperate to go back into that, but I can't. Right. Okay. Step back, see if that's horrendous. I think I've just about got away with that. Alright, now let's finish this off. We have to do the water. You won't do these little boats until the end. You need to do the water. Now, the water, we're going to wet the whole thing. Probably going to leave these mostly white, but then drop in this dark colour. And because it's wet, it will fall down under gravity and give us some nice reflections. So let's wet this whole thing down here. Now we need some dark, so it's got to be pretty much like this, but generally the darks are generally slightly lighter and the lights are slightly darker. I'm going to have a sort of sludgy brown green, which is going to be lemon yellow, a little bit of black and probably a bit of burnt sienna. And the same colour with a bit more burnt sienna. Right, let's put this one in first now. Of course, it's not wet enough. And a little orange as we come over. Green is over here, which isn't green anymore. And this is white there, so I've got to leave that. Just gonna drop some water. Just so it falls straight down. Now in here, it's just a few little pieces. And my clean brush, I'm pulling colour down. Should have been wetter, damn it. And I just want to make it darker at the top. No, it's not going to work. Yeah. Just little bits of dark. I thought this one was going to be easy. I say that every time, I think, don't I? So a little bit of dark. Right, I'm going to have to come back and redo that, but yeah. Come on. Just slightly darker. Well, I hope you get the idea anyway. This is just a clean brush, just pulling colour down. Okay. Some bits you think are going to be easy, but absolutely not. Now, whilst that is still slightly wet, I'm going to take a pointy brush, and it's very dry, so I'm going to try pulling across. It's a bit of a gimmick, this, but it will give us a sense of the surface of the water. If I pull across, I should be able to take up colour, and it will give a sense of ripples on the water. You have to make sure it's horizontal. It's horizontal. And don't do too many of them, you don't need too many. Okay. Okay, right. I think we're close, we're very, very close. We need to do something with these boots. Left the boots. Let me just stand back. Yeah, let's put the boots in. We have to put the boots in. We've got space for boots. We should do the boots. Now, I'm going to keep the boots orange, I think. I don't want them to stand out too much, and there's a lot that is orange in there. So I'm going to use orange, orangey red and my yellow. Quite a lot of yellow. And just little swooshes for the boats, and a little bit of blue underneath. I'm going to use cerulean for that. You can use pretty much any blue you want. They're not hugely detailed. There's a blue canopy there. Now, I'm going to mix up a grey, quite a dark grey, and put some darks inside, underneath the canopies, but I'm not painting anything in particular. I just want something kind of grey in there, and also the sides to join these boats together. A little person there. Stuff going on. Shadow that canopy. That's not dry. Now, I don't want it to be too. Oh, look, I've made a mess. Don't want it to be too contrasty. Just want it to look as though there's something going on down here. It might be too contrasty. Bit of red. Someone in a red top. There's a bit of red in there. Yeah, I shouldn't have put my finger on that. I've made a mess. Okay, I think that's fine actually. It's a bit of. Oh, should I put this? You see, I want to put this boat in now. And right, enough, stop fiddling. She's fiddling. Right now, what's left? I'm very tempted to leave it as it is, actually. I'm tempted to darken up in here, but I'm not sure that will help. Tempted to put in some white gouache for trunks, but I'm not sure that will help it. Actually, I think I might. I'm going to take one last stand back. I am tempted to put a bit more detail on these, on the side of this. No, I think it's time to leave it. Maybe tomorrow I'll look at it and say, yes, I should do something, but I think I'm going to leave it there. Okay, right. Phew, much harder than I thought that was going to be. Okay.